works. Hello guys, in the last video I have shown you how to create your first C program, and I have also explained you this code line by line to you. Now in this video I'm going to further explain you how to use these inputs and outputs like printf and other things in C. So in the last video I have shown you that this printf, we can use it to print any value to the terminal. So whenever we run this code, we will see that hello world, which is inside the printf function brackets, is printed, and this /n just changes the next line. So for example, I want to print hello world 3 times, 1 2 3, and I will just build and run my program. It will be printed 3 times hello world, and in the next line hello world, and in the next line hello world. But if you want to print this hello world again and again without any line break, you can just remove this /n. So I will remove this /n here, and then I will just run my program, and I can see this hello world is printed 3 times in one line. So this /n changes the line. Now for example, you want to print some number. How can you do this? So first idea which may come into your mind is just write a number. For example, printf 32. But let's compile this program first. And it says some warning, and when I run the program, it will not run, and it will give you some error, because this is not how you print a number. In order to print a number, you need to use a special placeholder. So for example, I want to print 32 here. I need to give a placeholder. So just in your printf function, in these brackets, just give 2 double quotes and a comma, and then give a percentage sign. So give this percentage sign and then D. And I will explain you what this percentage D is, but let's first try to build and run our program. And it prints 32. Now percentage D here is called a placeholder. What this is called? It's called a placeholder, and it literally means that percentage D is going to hold a place for the integer. D stands for integer. So if you write D, it will hold an integer. If you want to print a decimal value, then there is a special character called F, which stands for float, and then you can print decimal value, for example 32.2. So when I build the program, it can print 32.20. Now for example, you just write here percentage D, but you want to print 32.2. Let's see what happens. It doesn't print this number because this is a decimal value, but we are providing the integer placeholder to hold the decimal value, which is not valid. So you always have to remember that you need to keep in mind what kind of value you want to print. Now with this placeholder, you can add your text also. So for example, I want to print the text with this placeholder, that the number is equal to, and then write your placeholder. So this placeholder will be replaced by 32 here. So just imagine like this. It will print the number is, and whatever here, it will be replaced by the number or the value you write after this comma. Okay, and when I run the program, it will print the number is equal to 32. Okay, now in order to print multiple decimal, what you need to do is you just need to give multiple placeholder, just space. For example, I want to print some value with separated by a space. You just need to just copy and paste it 3 times, and then after comma just provide other values you want to print, because we have written %d 3 times, and keep in mind here this is space, so it will be printed 32 space 58 space 5. Let's try and run the program, and 32, 58 and 5, right? Now there are different kind of data you can print. For example, I've shown you how to print this. That's decimal. It will print a decimal value, 1 decimal value, right? Now in order to, I will just copy this and paste this, not this one, but I want to copy this whole string and paste it here. I don't know why it's not copying. Right click, and if there is a copy option, we will copy it, copy, and right click and paste, right? So I will just copy this once again and try to paste it once again. And for example, I want to print a decimal value, so it will be replaced by this f, which stands for float. Now in order to print a big decimal value or large float value, you use a double, and double is LF, large float value. In order to print a large integer value, you use LB. Okay, so I will just write something here, comment, and this comment means double slash means a comment, which I will explain you later. And basically this comment means that whatever you write after this comment, it will be not executed by your C program. So this is integer, and this is large integer, and once again this is a double value or float value, float, and float stand for F, right? And this will be large float stand for LF. Okay, now for example, you want to print a single character, you use %C. So I will just write char for the character, and single character you always enclose it in single quotes. Okay, for example, I want to print C, then just %C and then your character, okay, or A or whatever. For example, you want to print a string. String means a sentence kind of thing, so you use %S, and then you can just print hello world here also in double quotes, for example. Okay, and inside this double, you need to print inside these double quotes, and this is called string. Okay, so this comment I will show you in the next video how these comment works, but for now just understand that this line after this double slash will not be executed. Okay, now if you want to print some hexadecimal value, you can print it with this, which X, okay. And for example, you want to print the hexadecimal value for 16, it will be printed as hex value, okay. So I will write hex. Now I will run the program, but bear in mind that they will be printed in same line because we haven't provided this line break here. So we will provide this line break after every line print, so that they will be all printed in different lines, okay, different lines. And this was decimal, this was large decimal, so you can just print a large number. Large number can be, you can search for the large decimal limit, and it has some limit, and then the float value, and then the large decimal float value, for example this one, and the character is okay, string is okay, and hex is okay. Now I will try to build my program and run it, and it runs. First it prints hello world, which is a simple string, then it prints 32, which is a decimal, then it prints big decimal value, or not big decimal but big integer value, which is this one, then it prints this float value with f, percentage f, then it prints the large float value, which is this big decimal value, then it prints the character a with a percentage c sign, then it prints the string, which is percentage s, and then it prints the hexadecimal value of 16, which is 10. Hexadecimal value of 16 is 10, okay. So in this way you can print values using printf function, okay. So remember these placeholder values: d for integer, ld for large integer, f for decimal values or float values, lf for large float values, c for characters, s for string, and x for hexadecimal values, okay. Now in order to take the input, so for example you want that user should give some input, and then you want to print this input. So for example what you can do is, for example you want that the user should enter some value, okay, and then it will be printed on the screen. How can you do that? You do that with a special function called scanf. Scanf function we generally use to take the input from the user, okay. For example, I want to take input from the user as a string, so I will write percentage s and then comma, and then I can just give any value here, and it will be taken by this scanf, and if you want to print it, you can print this value. But this we will see later when we will understand how variable in C works and how these data types work in C. So this we are going to see later, but just remember scanf, we use it to input values, right? Now there is another special function which is called puts, which is like this, puts, and it also prints the value to the screen. So for example, you want to print some value, this is my C program. You can print it like this also by using print or puts function. And when I run this program, it will be running fine. I will close this and compile and run this, and this prints this is my C program. So in this way you can input and output different kind of data using C on terminal.